Hey everyone, and welcome to a quick tutorial for the parades. And if you ask yourself, why the heck, Rudy, do we need a tutorial for parades? Well, let me tell you, because I've been sitting here for almost 2 weeks building a couple of parades for you, and yeah, a couple. More about that in a future video. But I figured it wasn't all so simple because they are so freaking complex. They are quite logical, and I remember that I've given quite a bit of feedback to it, and here's to showcasing what you can actually do, how you can actually do timed things that are based on the daytime. I've not really seen too many people use it yet, so in case you want to do something dedicated for nighttime or daytime only, this is your video. And if you want to see how to make like a couple more groups of entertainers and stuff like that and how to abuse certain things, well, stick with me, we are going to talk about this. Well, I've put together here a little testing ground for us where you can see the station of a parade and you can see a couple of sequences, and there is a rather small plaza over here. It'll all make sense in a minute, but let's actually begin with the basics. This is the station. Now, if we bring up the UI again, we are going to quickly go through the UI so you have a basic idea how it works, because it is quite a different ride to usually, and you see that highlighted in the UI. There is like a slightly bit of a gradient in the UI with the highlighted icons. This is basically everything coming with the parade. The first thing is the train tab, where you can add new trains, and you're gonna have to differ between the train, the parade, and the individual float. There are different things. So for example, if you click into train 1, you can see in train 1 you can have one float, or you can have a bigger float, or you can have two individual floats, which is basically a bridge float if you want. Or what you can also do is you can have two different floats in one parade, but they will then be connected with like that little kind of thing over here that gives you that cool kind of connected ride idea. You can even make 3 of them if you want to do something, and then connect these together to make sure that they're all moved together. You've got these things that for when they go around a corner, they move still relatively correct towards each other, if that makes sense. You're going to see that in a minute. We're going to test this and you can see what I mean by that. So we're going to keep that layout for a moment, and if you go out, you can see now you don't have the option to add a new train because your station is too small. In order to change that, you basically double tap and you build out your station. Just click your station a little longer. I think that's pretty obvious, and once that is done, you can see you get the option. Now, if you add a parade performers, you can see there are these points coming in over here. You can see these 3 points, each row indicate where a performer is standing, and if you go into that group, you can even change this to a row of 4, for example, and you got 4 of these, and now you can see all the different rows can be filled in by various entertainers. And I've seen people actually saying, and this is something I absolutely agree with, it makes now more sense than ever to bring back all of the old entertainers to the game as well, because frankly this may actually get a bit repetitive after a while. And what I would absolutely love is the fact that in this group over here, we obviously have our 2 staff members. I would love these to be having more moods and more different things to do, because as you can see, the performers can basically do various things normally, but these people always are just walking. You can see there's no customization in here. I wish that is just a little mistake, and you will be able to recolor their stuff clothing in a bit. I think that's just like a little mistake for the moment. We are still in the early access version of it, and there's quite a bit of feedback that is still being worked on that hopefully is going to be live for Thursday. Nevertheless, that is the setup you have, and if you watch this tutorial later, it may already be fixed. Now, this is that one. If you go over to the performers, you can see it's going to show you all the live performers right now, and you can see on this first points over here, there's none over here, but you can obviously add further platforms. If you click on that one, it's going to bring up a menu, and you should not have anything typed in, and you got 2 different types of platform. You've got the simple standing one, and if you put this Gulpy Rex down, we're going to plop it here into the middle. Just one more time. There you have that one. It's Gulpy just being in the middle. And if we have that walking platform, and we can just try to make that in between here, just like have a look if that works. So we can make Max Stormcloud actually walk over that little thing in the middle and just do perform a little bit. So if I hit play, you can see that is going to happen. Don't mind those guys, they just have a bit of a shiver. It's cold outside. So yeah, you can also click on these, and then you can decide what kind of type they have. you know, and you can just have some miserable over here content and happy and what else do we have, like March and Wave, and you've got a couple of different variants that you can use. That's kind of cool. And you can do the same with this one over here. Obviously that's a walkway, so they just always perform the same. Okay, looking back at the menu, we have a third tab over here that is the scheduler. That one is relatively simple. So at the moment you can say the system is planning it for yourself. You can say how many parades per day do you want to have, and if you click a couple more in, they will be automatically spread across the day. Now what you can also do is do it yourself, just change between these two settings, and now you can add your own time slots and then make them as you wish. So for example, you say like 5 p.m. is one, and then we've got a very late one at 9 p.m. or actually 8 p.m. is the last one, because my opening times over here are obviously not suiting. Otherwise, I think we can't just change them right now. I think that's one of the things that I still want to have anyhow. As this is the latest we can have at 8 p.m. That is how it goes. Now you can see at the moment it's at 3:59. Now if we were to put one on 4 p.m. it's just about to start, but we get to that later on to showcase. So that is about it. And the last one is we have speakers. Now what you can do is you can add speakers, and that doesn't mean only to your ride itself. This can be anywhere along your parade. So if you want to put them obviously down here, they are not tied to one of the rides. Obviously they are just part of the parade, and now as they are connected, going in here, you can see that these speakers are automatically connected, and you can change the track to whatever music you want to have. And it's kind of cool. They have like a lot of musical stuff in here. Obviously they have like all the different VFX, and you can now also choose them from the different sounds. And you have also the parade pack over here with the different ones. You can actually play and have these kind of announcement sounds, but you can, as always on PC, put your very own ones in if you want to. So this is the menu for the parades. That was very important. Now the rest is pretty normal. You've got the finances, you've got testing, you got prestige, you get the maintenance, and you get customizability, which is as you can guess, you can even color this one into something fancy. If you want to do like a neon thing or whatever, you can do so. You can do all kind of shenanigans. And what I wanted to especially talk about is how customizable these parades are actually. Now you can see this is rather big over here, but you could obviously go in, and if we were to add another one train over here, we can obviously go into the train and then say hold on, wait, I'm on train 1. Train 3 doesn't attach me right now. I think this is because I have tested that and it's like a little issue. Let's get rid of it. Let's actually get rid of all of them to showcase what I wanted to do. Hold on, can I just quickly play and then train 1 and put this back to, hold on, quantity is 1. So there you go, and we're gonna go for the small one. You got these small ones over here, and now if I add more trains in that sort, you can obviously make some kind of cool parades with a lot of smaller floats, and you get like this kind of appealing longer parade, and you can actually build them as big as you want to. So if you were to put this all together, you could then go in, and let me tell you, the float pieces are incredible. So let's say we're going to use that big one over here and attach that to Parade 1. You can attach that to this area here where Gulpy is on. You have the same options as always with the rides. You can, first of all, change the symmetry type to mirrored, for example, if you want to have it that way. If you want to build the perfectly round one, you can also go into the rotational one and then just create your circle of whatever you want to do. You can scale these things down to make this thing not as big. So if you want to make a platform like that, which is pointless because you have a piece that has exactly that shape in here, but you get the idea. You can do various ideas with it and do all kind of fancy shapes if you wanted to. You can, as always, say apply to all range, which makes sense if you want to build the same base for everything and then just not mirror all the pieces. And you can twin this, which doesn't make any sense because you do not have two parades. I don't even know why this is in here. It doesn't make any sense if it is in here. So twinning doesn't really make sense because you don't have more than one parade per parade. That doesn't make any sense to me, but well, it's in, I guess. But yeah, so this is that, and you can use this as always. We are just not going to apply that because we want to keep it as barren as it is. Now, this is also how you obviously apply the scenery pieces if you want to. You can literally put everything on that is non-gridded. However, there's one piece that you cannot attach to the parade, and that is the sequencer. We are going to talk about the sequencer in a bit, because that very thing is going to help you to make night-only parades work pretty nice. For that, I'm going to shortly show you a little bit of a setup, but more about that in a second. Now, as you can tell, this is the parade, and now we finally get to build this. So let's double tap over here and actually get building here in the front, and you can see we have 4 different track types. To be fair, it's just 2 different track types. The first one is a track that doubles as pathway. If I do put it down, you can see in here it looks like pathway. If I do that again and I use the normal track, you have that one. However, there's some cool thing you can do. Now you can see on here there's an option of parallel path, and you can turn that on and you can even make that loads wider, and look what happens right now. This is something I did talk about with Rich quite a bit, because I was so blown away by how good that works. So what it creates, it does create the parade in the middle, but it also creates a pathway next to it, almost like how the pools work. And that, therefore, we are already into our normal plaza over here. Now people can just walk all the way by this thing and just keep on standing next to the parade. That is rather simple, but there's also another way of doing that. So if we were to just double tap again and build, and we're going to say, okay, we do not use the parallel path, we're just going to do it that way, and we build into the plaza over here. You can see if I do that, just like so, it's going to be perfectly fitted into the path. And as long as your terrain is somewhat level, this is going to work absolutely like a charm. It is ridiculously simple to build, and you can actually access the parade by double tapping on that pathway over here. Unfortunately, you will always have these kind of what is that, curb boundary kind of edges over here. That said, you don't need these edges. So if I come up over here, double tap on my path, that's my style now, and I'm going to say use the custom brush. I'm going to brush over here, and you can see immediately the curbs are gone over here. I'm just going to do it that way, and the whole thing is flat again, and you can see the parade has no curbing on the sides. It's basically just floating over here because it's just like somewhat higher. That is how it goes. However, there's a bit of an unfortunate thing. You may think now, cool, now I can seamlessly connect this. Well, you kind of can't, because if I were to bring up the path over here, I'm just going to drag it all the way through, you can see there is still that little edge, because oh wait, I came down here, because I'm in the wrong mode. I could just use, for example, the draw tool and then just like paint this whole edge. We can also just not do that with like so, for example, and then oops, I should have done that better because I'm stupid. So let's just do it that way, and then you can see it automatically creates that seamless edge, and it even creates like a bit of kind of terrain underneath. However, you still will have that ugly edge, which is, you know, I can forgive them for that. I wish to have it a little bit differently, like to have maybe a line in the middle as a guidance, and then have these individually invisible to the outside. That would be fantastic. But anyways, building on path on plazas is super simple, and I even have done this on my main street over here. I'm not sure if you have seen the video, but that was a given main street, which actually works with a couple of height differences over here. You can really see how wobbly my area is, and especially here in the foreground, you can see how much of an incline we have in the path in general, and I still was able to put this into a existing one. In that corner, you can see even how much of a very crazy angle that is, and still works relatively simple. So that is definitely something to keep in mind with the parades. That is really good to do, but you obviously could also put a parade in first and then build everything around. Okay, now enough of the basics. Let's talk about some really good stuff. Now, let's say you want to attach some kind of scenery pieces to it to make some stuff work, like for example, effects. So we're gonna go into the effects folder over here. We deactivate float because we want to see something, and now we are going to say we are going to have a sequencer, which you can see add to group is still on, but we cannot do it because it doesn't allow us. But any other thing we have over here, so for example, that explosion, we can attach the explosion to parade 1. As you can see, now it is actually attached to it. There we have that. And you can bring this into the middle if we wanted to. Let's hit play, so the explosion actually played for once. Boom, there it goes. It's now connected. We can actually have some glowing stuff over here. So the aquatic ball joint. So you can just have that one sit here, and then let's also put another effect piece. No, actually, you know what, we can just have a platform. Let's do a little platform so you can see all the different ones in here. Let's use that spring for a change, and we're gonna put that spring in here too. So we got all these 3 little things, and obviously these 3 things are all triggerable, if you will. So there are 2 ways now to connect these things, but there is a catch. Now, if you go to the parade, and as always, you go to attach linear, create a trigger sequence, you can place a new trigger. So let's say, for example, we want to trigger something. Oops, I did place a second one. I didn't want to do this. I wanted to... Hello, I just want to grab you. Okay, why can I not grab the first one? Let's just get rid of both. Put that one here. Can I grab you around? I can. Okay, let's say it's gonna be triggering over here. Then we can go into the edit and add the objects into it. So we are going to edit these objects into it. Now confirm. And what you can see, because these things are only in the second float, you can now, with the new options in the game that were added with the last free update, you can now go into the trigger sequence, choose that one and say only on train 2, because that's where we're having these 2 things. But there is a little catch over here. If that is applied, this will always play. Every single time they will go over that trigger, this will play, no matter if it's daytime or nighttime. This is where these little guys come into play, because these wonderful sequences have a brand new function. This brand new function is you can find in the activation settings, and in here you've got still on trigger and blah blah blah, but you also have a new restricted times option. That one is very interesting. So if you click that on, you can see you can restrict the time, for example, from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., which means in case the game is darker or getting darker, you can even say from 7 p.m. because that's where it's getting darker. And now you have to reverse engineer this. Now, you can obviously have a second one, which is doing the exact opposite, which is restricting the times from, and now this is actually kind of fun, you can put this to AM and this to PM, and now let's say from 9 to 7, which is not meaning to work, but you get the idea. Now, this trigger, we can say that no daytime, for example, and that one is no nighttime, as I said before. Nighttime means we can then have different things to it. So actually you could obviously also say this is nighttime and the other one is daytime, for example. Yeah, you know, or is that, did I do it the other way around? Wait, hold on. So this one does activate restricted times from, oh, this is okay, basically it's the other way around. So if we, you know, I'm just gonna, this is nighttime and that one is daytime. So this is how you can create the setting. You know, this is daytime, this is nighttime. Now these triggers will allow you to control things a little bit more simple. So if I were to go in and say, you know what, in this trigger over here, I only want to have things that are going to be on daytime. So that means that spring, for example, should be animated, or the explosion. So what I'm going to do is I'm editing this trigger sequence, just going to add all these things to it and say confirm. Now these are all in, and we could say, for example, for the aquatic ball, we can say activate on trigger, change color on trigger, repeat, deactivate, whatever. We can swap the color on trigger, and we're going to swap it to yellow. Okay, so this is going to happen, but this is only going to happen at daytime, obviously, because this is your daytime scheduler. If you do the exact same thing, and we're going to add these objects, and you're going to do it this way, you're just going to say confirm, and in this specific case, you're going to say with the aquatic float, we're going to change the color, swap color, change the color to, let's say, whatever, yellow, or did we say yellow? I forgot already. Let's say lilac, pink, whatever, and do confirm, and fade time is going to be 10 seconds, like that. It's like a long fade time. Now you have the same piece, but it's going to do two different things. With the piece itself, you could obviously also do a couple of things. Whoops, I did the wrong editing mode. So let's say attach scenery, and we're going to go to this thing. You can now say this thing should be deactivated, and I want to have it activated at night time only, which then is just for the effect of glowing. So for the effect, I can already show you what time of day it is. And so there you have that nighttime, it turns on. Now it's kind of funny though, because we do have, and we should change the time of day to, let's say 8 p.m. So we are actually in the midst of it. Now, technically, if I do say daytime, it should not play right now if I press it. I'm not entirely sure if that works or if it's going with the in-game daytime, so I have no idea what of the two is the... Yeah, okay, it's still playing because the game will always refer to the actual in-game time. So that means this one is also going to play the exact same time. Yeah, okay, so both are actually playing, but realistically, in the game, when you go from that time, it shouldn't do. And as you can see, the light switch didn't work for nighttime now, because obviously that is set to nighttime. So you can have these things restricted, and if you, and this is the interesting bit over here, if you actually trigger them, and this is where you would now need to go into the create trigger sequence again, edit this thing, and instead of having those things directly put in, you can add the object nighttime and daytime, both of them, because now obviously, and I'm not entirely sure, maybe this works actually, so we have nighttime, so normally now only nighttime should play. Well, actually that doesn't make any sense. I should, for the testing reasons, I should have, that is also a mistake by design already. The design is already flawed, so let's actually say we're going to have the spring deleted and also the fade time deleted, so we have that a bit easier. And then we're going to add the object again. We say confirm, and you know what we actually do with the aquatic ball, we're going to set to deactivate on trigger. So then we do see what happens if we play, because at the moment it seems almost like that it's happened. So and if we go to the daytime, now in daytime we have the explosion. So in my theory now, if this is the case, and also I'm not sure why this is now deactivated, it should definitely be activated still, but let's actually go into the trigger sequence and see what happens. Where's that trigger 2 coming from? Oh, I put 1 on the straight. So if I play that one, we have the explosion playing. Okay, so this is basically daytime, and this thing is deactivated because it checks that we have still daytime per in-game time. Okay, they have to fix this, by the way, that this time is the given one over here, because otherwise this is a bit harder to do. Because normally what should happen is that now only the daytime stuff plays, which it does because the explosion plays, but we don't see any swap color or deactivate or activate. So yeah, that is how you can set different day night times. I hope it just makes sense, even though it's a bit finicky because we can't change the in-game time to what it actually is, which is a pity. We should definitely have the option to do that and just have the lighting set to it, whatever. So that is that. And with the speakers, they also have this automatic takeover. So when you do have the parade and it kind of goes into a region, it like automatically takes over the kind of music when it's around. So let's say, for example, we do have, which track do we have in here? So let's say musical hero Born's Well. Let's confirm that one. And we were to put in a speaker of some sort. We're going to plop this one in. Let's put that a little bit further here in the back so we can actually hear that. So there we go. And now let's just put the parade in. There we go. And now we're going to set this one to, let's say, change track. And we're going to say, what could this be? Yeah, let's say like in a spooky manner, because that'll help us to, actually we can also have music. Let's put it to music and then have something very obvious that we can hear when it's gone. What's that? Sunrays, Rave Nervous? What was that? I'm going to deactivate my music real quick here so we can hear that. So, what's that? Okay, that's good, because then we can actually hear that. Okay, fair. So now, as you can see, this is the speaker. We can change all the kind of settings as we are used to. But now if we go for testing, Now, as we've set the wonderful trigger, and I did forget one thing. So we have our music over here, but what we want to do, obviously, we want to make the takeover. So therefore, you need to obviously have a float play some music. So in here we go, and we're going to say, is there anything from the parades that we have, like small town? Let's say the parades playlist. So we're going to play that one. And now we do have, obviously, this guy over here come with this music. You can hear that. Now let's move over. And that music should be gone. And we're back in here with our wonderful thing. And you can see already this thing is taken over. Even though we still have Ma Sera Serpu, which is not that one playing. You've heard that earlier. This is what it takes over right now, because that one is now connected to the parade. Now it's kind of cool if different, and I'm just going to, you know what, we can actually show you real quick. So if I'm going to go into the wonderful thing, and we're going to go into the parade float number 2, and we go into music over here, we can then, for this one over here, say, I don't know, whatever, this could be Rocktopus Rock, why not? So what's that? Yeah, that's good. Okay, so we've got Rocktopus Rock, and you can see now this is now changing over here. I'm just going to, there you've heard the change. Now this is parade music, and we're just going to keep on going. And in a bit, this should now change over slightly to Rocktopus Rock. And you can see, it's just about to start, okay, because the parade ended. But you got the idea, you know, you got the idea. I can show you that one more time, just so you know it actually works. Because I really find this so cool that you have like these ambience speakers. You can even set this to ambience, and it's gonna switch over to the parade then, which is so freaking cool. So yeah, that is now the first one. And you can hear it's actually getting louder while it's pathing. And now we're just going to make this a little... Let's just listen in. This music is so good. And now you can hear Rocktopus Ride. That is so cool. So this is kind of the automatic takeover. You don't really need to do much. The only thing is you need to have to connect this to the parade itself. You know, that is just done via the music itself, and then you can connect this to the speakers. But it should also work with like random ambient speakers you have across your area. So if we were going, this is by the way something I haven't done in this save file over here. That's like merely a showcase file. But like if I go into my parades, then have some stuff hidden here in the planters and so on, it'll take over automatically the ambience music from that, which I find very, very, very cool. I did, you know, it took me a while to find that out, but this option is super cool. You can also give every single ride your very own music. And yes, you could even trick the system into doing different sounds for day and night, but that would be tricky over the trigger, and then it would not necessarily take over the music, unfortunately, because that is then hard baked into the sequencer, not into the ride. So that is something to keep in mind, but you could easily, if you want to have like a different type of announcement or so, you could still do a different one from daytime and nighttime and just put that on some speakers that you trigger via the sequencer. But in any case, I think the sequencer itself, with the ability now to change it for different day and night times, is pretty handy indeed, because it will open up a couple of opportunities with different ideas. But that should be it for the parade DLC, and you can see that by the time it is not so obvious everything, because it is freaking complex. I think they have realized that in the best possible way. There's virtually anything you can do. Oh, by the way, what we didn't talk about, you can also change the difference interval between the trains. So if we do put this back and hit play again, you can see they will start almost like immediately after each other. So the first one is going out and the second one is following right away, which makes them be closer together in the parade, which sometimes you want to have that, and sometimes you want to have some more space in between. That could be something you can do. You can attach scenery as always. You can edit the track. You can do virtually any kind of stuff that you want to. I love the fact that they have also brought in a couple of things here in the front already, but also you only need a exit gate for the staff members and connect that to your existing path network to make your mechanic come to it. The entertainers do not need to walk here, they just magically appear. And as you can see in here, there's also like, if you go to staff, for example, into Steph and Steph's schedule. You can see at the moment, and if I'm gonna go for entertainer, you can see I don't have any entertainer in the park, which is a bit weird because we apparently already have one on here. This is Gulpy, so they don't even count towards your entertainers. What I wish I couldn't really fix if that's the thing, but you can see there is obviously a performer cost. So you still pay for them, but you only pay for them for the parades themselves. So the cost of a parade will, and that is important for your gameplay mechanic, obviously, you don't earn money directly from a parade, so you can't have people, you know, get it onto the ride and pay ticket prices for it. So it basically is something boosting your prestige of your park and overall giving you money for what you're having and what you're doing, but you're basically paying for every single performer you have on here, as you can see. So this is also to keep in mind. If you build ginormous parades, they'll be very expensive, and you got to find out to put a lot more souvenir shops around, because they will, like, the shops will benefit directly from the parade, so that more people will meander around, for example, your main street, and have a better effect of purchasing stuff over there. So this is how you then bring in the money for what you need to pay for the parades. I think that's kind of a cool solution, even though I would have loved to see some backstage areas for the performers to chill in, but you know, that could become relatively cramped if you have got all the performers and stuff putting down here. You can just literally put a staff room next to here if you fancy doing so. Anyhow, I hope you guys are finding this informative and interesting and helpful. It's gonna be 2 more days until you guys can play, so I hope the wait is not killing you too much, but in any case, this is more content for you and there's more coming, so keep your eyes peeled on the channel. As always, there is a lot more to come. I'm very interested to see what you guys say about tomorrow's episode. If I get it done, it's going to be very glorious, very much fun, so can't wait to talk you through that one. And we are going to be live tonight anyways as well, so a lot of good things coming up. So have a good one and goodbye.